because what I want is the flavour of the chilli without the real scorching heat. But just now and again, I want something that is literally mouth-popping, something that will almost make my eyes water. And that is when I don't see the chilli.
For my Tuesday night supper, I'm going to serve something very hot with the coolest of dressings. Fiery grilled chili prawns with yoghurt and mint. A few chilies, a thumb-sized lump of ginger and garlic form the basis of this marinade.
What I'm making is, I suppose, a spice paste. And it's the sort of paste that you can use with chicken or fish. You could use it with anything that you're going to pop on the grill. But it is quite hot.
Add some warmer spices. They're more about flavour than heat, like black peppercorns, cumin seed, coriander seeds, and for colour, some bright yellow turmeric.
And then that lot just goes straight into the food processor.
Fresh coriander and mint add an aromatic flavour.
At this point, I've got masses of heat, almost too much. I want to calm it down a little bit, and I'm going to use coconut. I'm going to use creamed coconut, which comes in all sorts of forms. Sometimes it comes like a bar of soap, and you simply grate it into your paste. Other times, it comes like a thick, soft cream, like this. Now, this is still quite a firm paste, and I want it to be just a little bit softer. So I'm going to water it down, just so that it will coat the prawns or the chicken or whatever I'm going to use it with. If it suits you, make this the evening before, pop the prawns in or the chicken in, whatever you want to cook, and leave it overnight.
This classic combination will set your palate on fire. But whilst the griddle heats up, I'm going to make a dressing that will instantly cool your mouth. Use plenty of mint, and I'm adding coriander.
You don't have to use coriander. You could use cucumber. All you want is an ingredient that will have the opposite effect of the chilies and the ginger.
Sour flavours go well with spice, so I'm adding the zest of a lime. Lemon would also be fine.
Occasionally, when I'm making a curry, for instance, things come out a little bit too hot. You know, there's ones that actually make you break out into a sweat. And sometimes you just have to cool things down a bit. You know, the first mouthful is great, and then you think, this is just too much. That's when I reach for the yogurt, plain, natural yogurt. That will cool things, as will coconut milk. They're things that calm supper down when you've got a bit overexcited.
For this, I'm using a good glug of plain yogurt.
This is the point to open the windows, switch on the extractor, turn on the fan. You're going to make lots of smoke. There's no reason why you can't do these under an overhead grill, but the great thing about using a ridged griddle pan is that the food actually touches the heat itself. So all the edges get toasty. It's when you get lots of crusty little bits. That's when it makes food interesting. Prawns cook very quickly. As soon as they become opaque, then you know they're ready. On a really hot grill, it's literally a couple of minutes. Lots of spice, lots of opposing flavours. And yes, it is hot. It will make your lips tingle. But then you've got this wonderful, cooling, mint-flecked yogurt. It's kind of whip and kiss. There's lots of heat there, enough to make my eyes water. And then all of a sudden, there's this cooling yogurt and mint and lime. It's the sort of thing you keep going back for more.
You can use the same spicy mix for meat or fish. The braver you get with the chilies, the more yogurt and mint you'll want standing by. For fresh and exciting ideas on what to cook with what you've grown in your garden, log on to bbc.co.uk/dig-in.
You know, there are one or two pairings of ingredients that I find a little bit weird. It took me a long time to get my head around eating meat and fish together. And yet quite often, if I'm stir-frying some pork, I'll put a bit of fish sauce in there. So I thought, why won't it work if I put a little bit of anchovy in my pork meatballs?
Tonight, pork meatballs with anchovies. Strange marriage indeed. To your pork mince, add a cupful of breadcrumbs. It really helps to lighten the texture. Then grate in some lemon zest.
Pork loves lemon. Fish loves lemon. It belongs.
Parmesan helps to bind it, but also adds a deep, salty flavour. Drop in a handful of your favourite fresh herbs. I'm using parsley and thyme. And finally, a little salt and black pepper.
As it is, I could make those into little balls, fry them, and they'd be perfectly delicious. But by adding a strange thing of anchovies, every flavour that's in there is going to be richer and stronger. These little fish have an effect like nothing else when you cook. They dissolve, they're completely undetectable. Sometimes I put them in a tomato sauce. Other times, I dip them into a beef stew. Nobody says, oh, this is fishy. It's just delicious.
Mix together well and crisp both sides in hot oil.
I'm not going to cook these all the way through. I'm just going to brown the outsides a little bit and then put them into a baking dish with some stock. Then I'll let them cook in the oven, and what will happen is that all the flavours going on in here will seep into the stock, and I'll end up with a dish that is full of a lovely savoury broth I can dip my spoon into before I start eating my meatballs.
Half cover the meatballs in stock. Veg or chicken, it doesn't matter. Then put them in the oven for about 20 minutes. I feel like a few greens to go with it, so I'm going to use one of my favourites, chard. If you use the younger leaves, you can cook them whole in just a small amount of water, or maybe even steam them.
These little meatballs have got crisp tops, and they're deliciously moist underneath. You know, when I put this out on the dishes, I can smell the pork, and the parmesan, and the lemon, but there's also something else that I can't quite put my finger on. And I know it's the anchovy, but no one else will. It's the sort of food, if I'm feeling a bit down, it really lifts me up.
This is a really hearty meal with a wonderful deep flavour. It's well worth having some anchovies in the cupboard. You'll be amazed how often you'll use them.
Vivimos en una era sin precedentes.